Hello, folks. Welcome back to Learn Synthesis with Ableton Live. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In this episode, as promised, we're going to look at FM synthesis using the operator instrument that we've been utilizing thus far in the series. Now we're going to unlock more of its power by looking at FM synthesis, in which we use multiple oscillators to control another oscillator. Basically, we're going to have modulating oscillators, modulating the frequency of the carrier oscillator, and what that does is it produces some extra fun in the harmonic spectrum, or the frequency spectrum more technically, and that's how we can craft some more interesting sounds. So without further ado, let's get on with the show, if you can call it that. In any case, this will be our final episode on operator by itself. So we're going to be getting on to other instruments soon, but this is important in synthesis to understand FM synthesis at least a bit and to start experimenting with it to see what you can get. So I encourage experimentations and give me some feedback in the comment section about what you come up with. Here we go. Okay, so here we are with our friend operator. Alrighty, we might want to look at some frequency spectrum stuff while we do this, so let's get out our other friend, spectrum. Just type spectrum in search when you're in the audio effects category, and then open up utilities and double click it. And there you go. All right, so we have a fresh operator up, so it's just one sine tone and that's it. Now let's take a look at this. I've been talking about this a little bit, these algorithms here, or oscillator arrangements. This first one, as you see, they are color-coded, so we have D here at the bottom. Well, A. Keep going. A, B, C, D. No, it's D, C, B, A. All right. So A at the bottom is going to be our carrier oscillator. You see how right above it, there's B going down into it. The carrier oscillator is the oscillator that is actually the tone that's being played. And what B is going to do, and we're only going to turn on B to start, but what B is going to do is B, just like this arrangement shows, right above A, it's going to be feeding its frequency such that you're going to get some of what are called sidebands. Sidebands are basically, well, before I get into describing them, we're going to hear them first. So let's start off with at least this as a concept. You know, with an LFO, we can oscillate the frequency of our carrier oscillator, and it sounds like vibrato. If we turn up the speed of this by increasing its rate, you hear a little tone there appear. Let me back it off a bit. And as I turn this up, you'll hear like another tone just kind of ghost in there. That's called a sideband. And so you see, there are some extra spikes here in spectrum right around our fundamental frequency being played as a sine tone. These are sidebands. Now, LFOs are called low frequency oscillators for a reason, because typically their rates don't go up that high. They're largely used to add vibrato to the sound, like we hear there. Now, they have an amount setting too. That's basically the distance in which it swoops up and down in frequency. But basically, if this is like it's sounding to me almost like one oscillation or one cycle per second. But if you speed up the rate, now we get even more sidebands. So these are like undertones and overtones that are produced through this distorting effect of basically taking the frequency of our carrier oscillator and basically wobbling it around real fast. And so, unlike the LFO, these other oscillators here can go at much higher rates. And so that's when we get frequency modulation as a form of synthesis. When it's too fast to be vibrato anymore, you're creating sidebands and thus enriching the harmonic spectrum. So what I'll do is turn this level knob up. These are all down. These would basically feed, as we see in our diagram here, our arrangement. This oscillator would feed into the frequency of this one, which would feed into the frequency of this one, which feeds into the frequency of our carrier. And that can get pretty complex after a while. Let's keep it simple to start and just use B to modulate A. And if we look over here, now remember, A is just a sine tone. It would just be this bell curve shape right here at the fundamental frequency. But there, we have all these other sidebands. And at the beginning, the sound is more intense because here, we're on B. This is the shape of its envelope. So it rises to a peak here that gives us that kind of a initial sound. We reduce it. We have a softer articulation. We could even do this. And have a slow ramping up of the sound. Let's go back to what we had before. There we go. So we do have an attack. Let's make it a little more gradual. I'm going to make it fast. So it. And then I'm going to extend the decay time. So the intensity or the amount of modulation is higher for longer. Maybe a little too long there. Something like that. Now, this is all gauging the amount of modulation over time, which is basically akin to being the amplitude of the modulating oscillator. And we also have a frequency factor that we can work with here. That sounds almost like a bell tone-ish electric piano type of sound. One thing with the bell tone, there'll be more of a decay. Now the sustain after can ruin it a little bit. So what we can do with our carrier is say, well, we're not going to have you last that long. Like we don't need to hold down the key. This will be more like a striking of a bell. Just a little bit of difference makes a lot of time there. I'd like it to be a little faster. And so that would mean the K, we'll make it 1 second. So type in 1,000 milliseconds. Oh, looks like I did 100. There we go. And our sustain level is going down by enough dB that it's pretty much going away. Maybe that's too short. And so you can make some interesting bell tones. That's one of the main sound types that you can make with FM synthesis. Almost like a tubular bell sound. Now let's go a little crazy and see what happens if we add a little C to it. Now, according to our arrangement, C is going to be modulating the frequency of B, which is modulating the frequency of A. So C is not going into A directly, it's modulating this frequency here. So let's see what we get with that. Now, we also have frequency to adjust here. Make it a little bit shorter, and I'm just adjusting the envelope of C here. This could often be called like a bell piano type of sound. Let's work a little more with its frequency. Now this is so short, we're not hearing so much of its tonal effect. It seems to be adding a bit of a metallic sound to it because basically it's modulating this frequency here. In other words, kind of taking this frequency value we have for it, which is governed by the key that you press because we do not have it on fixed. If we check off fixed, then you have a fixed frequency that it'll be oscillating at. But this is speeding it up just to start at the beginning of the envelope here. So there we go. Just some interesting tidbits to start. Let me turn this down so we have fewer things going on. And you can go down to, let me just type 1. There we go. All right. Let's take this one here, and we're going to check off fixed here. So now, you see these knobs have changed. You now have a frequency knob with a multiplier. This is so you could cover like the whole frequency spectrum between these two. Basically, this gets multiplied by this. And now, no matter what key I press, the modulating oscillator is oscillating at the same rate. Let's see here. for sounds that change pitch, like if you're trying to make a bell tone or a certain sound where it sounds the same on no matter what key you press, you could basically turn off pitch changing. I believe that's in the menu here. Let's see, voices. I remember seeing it here before. Pan with the key. No, that's still changing frequency. It was in here, I swore. Key off. No, that basically affects other parts of the thing here. Voices, right? No, I'm still getting different notes. I found it before. I'm sorry that at this time I am not finding it. Pitch envelope. Yeah. Yeah, that's cute. I'm not going to keep searching for too much longer. I'll try to find it by the next episode if I don't find it here. There was something here. But anyway, this is where you can set number of your controllers like mod wheel and everything, and assign them to different aspects of the sound, like even velocity. Although you find velocity a lot throughout the menus in the display here to adjust it differently. And pitch envelope. Yeah. Yeah, it's more of like a bit of filtering there on the tone. Transpose. No. It's there somewhere. But anyway, if you had it so that every key plays the same sound, that's when the fixed thing can come in to get just the right frequency to produce just the right sound. But normally you would take it off so that as you play keys that are lower or higher, the rate of modulation adjusts with what you're playing, so you get a fairly consistent tone. Kind of like hard mallets on a glockenspiel. So anyway, what I'm going to do is change the arrangement here, because rather than having the modulating, I'd like to have two modulating oscillators modulating my carrier. It looks like I can get that here. We have our A at the bottom being modulated by B and D. As long as I don't use C, we should be fine. So that's how we are with B modulating A. Let's have D also modulate A. Now we're going to hear more of a difference by changing the frequency. do have it on that one, right? No. I thought I clicked it. That's not why. That's why we weren't getting anything. Because D would be modulating C, which is off. This is what I want here. Okay, good. Let's put them at the same level, 8 we have there. So let's try 8 here. But I'm going to detune this one a little bit. That adds a little bit of a... You can get close to some sort of plucked string sounds or even almost bowed string sounds. Not entirely, but... Yeah, sounding pretty cool. As you play with these, you can find all sorts of different timbres. Let's try something here where this will last a little longer, but then go away. I'm going to make this down here and this a little higher. Getting close to a coda. But what you want to do, or some sort of string instrument, but what you want to do is make sure that only rings out as long as the string would. Maybe this B oscillator is ringing out a little too long. Getting there, getting close to sitar. Now it's almost sounding like a PVC pipe. For those types of sound, there is an instrument called collision, excuse me, in Ableton that we will be looking at in this series, where you can model sounds like hitting metal, wood, tubes, pipes, things like that. But let's explore some more of our options. Here's where we could have 2 carrier oscillators, both being fed by these other oscillators. What I want to do is turn these down and start off with my 2 carriers. All right, 1 carrier for now. How about we try that triangle wave? Add a few harmonics to it, just a few. And B is our other. Hold on a second. I was doing that on B. No wonder I didn't hear. There we go. That's better. I almost imagined something there. So now on B is also a carrier. Let me make sure the diagram. Doing that. Yeah, orange and green. Yep. Alrighty. Now let's take our envelopes of our carriers and make them consistent with one another. How about, yeah, the attack over 0 milliseconds. Although it's technically, I think, a little bit more than that. Otherwise, we'd hear artifacts, which are little snapping sounds of digital distortion. And the decay, let's say 250 milliseconds. Release can be 500. Peak. We'll have peak be 0 dB all the way up. And our sustain, we have it at negative infinity all the way down. Let's do negative 24 for now. All right. And then let me set the other one. So we have 0, 250, 500, and negative 24 down there. So that's just 2 triangle waves. I am going. Oh, that one's down the octave? Really? Yeah, it is. I prefer this one to be there and you to be 0.5. Well, actually, I didn't have this on. No wonder. I was like, I didn't hear the octave. Now let's give them a little bit of chorusing here. There, 95 or 995, and we'll make you 5. Now, these 2 oscillators will be modulating both of these as carriers. Well, this one will be modulating them, and this one will be modulating this one. So we get a metallic hit. Now let's see what happens when we add this one to the mix. That's more like a coda, except for the sustain that we have going on here. So let's take this down for both of the carriers. course, it would sound best with a little bit of reverb on it to give it that warmth of the sound of a resonating container. So we can make all sorts of bell tones and plucked string sounds, as well as many other things, but let's have these ring out a little bit longer. They can sound real pretty. Now to add a little, you hear how this is adding a little bit of noise to it? Because these are pretty much like whole numbers times fundamental frequencies, so you're getting something that's kind of related to the harmonic spectrum. And this detunes it a bit from that. Maybe the pitch envelope can add to this a little bit here. Oh, this is where we can, remember before I was talking about making a fixed pitch? No, that transposes depending on where you're at. But you can do all sorts of things here. Let me do this. I want to start from scratch and just do a few more sounds. And then, you know, you can play with it on your own and you'll at least be partially navigating familiar ground. Need to get spectrum out of the search box up there. Here's operator. And yeah, it smartly put it before spectrum. Good. Now let us see here. What arrangement do we want? Here, 3 modulating oscillators, 1 carrier. Okay. So let us add B. Now let's change the wave shape of the modulating oscillator. A square wave should sound a little bit rougher. With a little bit of filtering, we can make that into almost like a bass sound. start playing around with that. So here we are, and this is the same octave. Wow. It's just creating now. I guess I'm just playing low enough on the keyboard, but that square wave modulating it is kind of giving it a bit of a buzz. Go over here to envelope. Because we have other oscillators that can then modulate the carrier. Do a square with this too. Change the envelope. Carrier shouldn't be ringing out for the types of sounds I'm doing here. And then let's try adding this one here. Once again, why don't we do square wave? Adding a bright ring to it. Yeah, and then envelope. Now, since we're getting that rough, let's make this saw. And what you could do is go around and what we can do is soften up on some of these. They're envelopes. And we get a little bit of fuzziness. And then, of course, when you find things you like and stuff and you want to save them, you right-click and you can basically save the preset. And, well, you could save it as a default, but it's probably better just to save the preset and stuff, because otherwise every time you open it up, that's what you're going to get. Of course, this does get saved with your live set. But yeah, so we were able to make some pretty stuff there. Let me see if I can. Oh, no, undo, double click. There we go. It'll be a better picture for the thumbnail. Of course, I gotta use 2 hands to take the picture. I'll do that on my own time, folks. But yeah, go to town, play with operator, and make some sounds. You know, now that you know what envelopes do, how to, you know, arrange things so you know which is the carrier and which are the ones modulating, how to play with the different frequencies, and just use your ear and craft it like clay into a sound that you enjoy. And let me know how it goes. Well, if this was useful for you at all, or somewhat entertaining or relaxing, please hit that like button. And next time we are going into analog, the instrument called analog, right up here, to do some basic subtractive synthesis. A lot of the principles that we've learned in operators still apply. It's just some of the routing is a little bit different in the organization of the controls. So we'll be digging into that, and yeah, it'll be a good one. All right, folks, thank you. And until next time, take care and stay free.